What's up, guys? So recently I was at the No Gi Pans, and there was a funny situation that happened where I was sitting in front of like Marcelo Garcia's team, and there was a guy there named Jirel. I think it's Jirel. I may be butchering your name, and if I am Jirel, then, you know, again, let me know, but I think it's Jirel. He was a brown belt from Marcelo Garcia's, and it was on the first day that we were talking. I'm sitting there like looking at something on my phone, and he like comes up and he pulls up a Chewjitsu video, and he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "which one are you watching?" And you know, we start talking for a little bit, hanging out. Yeah, nice dude. And then a few minutes later, one of his teammates comes running up the bleachers, and he's like, "Man," I was like, "my shorts didn't like check, whatever," and you know, he's freaking out because he doesn't have a pair of shorts to wear. And so Jirel, you know, he's like been competing for a while. He pulls out an extra set of shorts. He throws them to him. He's like, "I better get my shorts back." Starts giving him shit about it, right? And you know, then he jokingly turns to me and says, he's like, "Man, you should do a video about like what kind of stuff you need to bring in your gym bag." And you know, I laughed a little bit, but then I was thinking about, like, man, I get questions about that all the time. So today, we're talking about what I put in my gym bag. Now, this is not my normal gym bag. I'm using this kind of as a representation. My gym bag, as you'll see, is much bigger because I keep a lot of stuff in there. But I'm gonna go through and show you guys the gear that I bring with me, the stuff that I use to warm up, and the food, and the things that I eat, like as far as things that I drink and eat for the competition that seem to be helpful to me, and hopefully this is useful to you guys. First thing that we're gonna get into is the uniforms. So whether it's gi or no gi, I always bring two sets of both. So I'll have two sets of rash guards and shorts, and two gis. With the gis, I'll typically have one of another color, so I'll have like a white and a blue, blue and a black, black and white, whatever it is, right? But I always bring two sets, and the reason being is because I've run into some situations, and I've seen other people do this, where, you know, for whatever reason, you know, they got docked for something and they couldn't wear their gi or rash guard, and then they were scrambling to get something. One example, although I wasn't scrambling because I was prepared for it, is back in 2016 at the No Gi Pans, I had a rash guard on, and I was told by one of the refs that it was not black enough. And you know, I had checked in and everything. I was walking out to my mat, and then he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, that gi's not black enough." I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "This is the tatami," because at the time it was the tatami black ranked rash guard. I was like, I pulled up my phone, I was like, "Look, right here." And he said, "Man, it's silver to me." And again, it's not the darkest black, but it's definitely not silver, right? I mean, and granted, I'm kind of a big guy, so if I start wearing something that's sublimated, so you stretch it, it kind of makes it a little bit lighter, but I was wearing this. Now, luckily, they eventually let it go and they let me compete in it, but I had an extra set of rash guard shorts in my bag, so I was prepared. But there was a situation with the gi where I was not prepared, because we all know that the IBJJF, for instance, the IBJJF is picky, right? So, like, I remember what's 2012, 2013, the count. It was the show your old gi that was like kind of a tribute to Mitsuyo Maeda, and it had like the little bit of the embroidery right on the cuff. And you know, you're not supposed to have any patches or anything closer to the end of the cuff. And so a lot of guys were getting like popped for it when they were going through the check-in, and they couldn't wear those gis. But you know, there were some guys that I would see that had, you know, a little bit of a tan and didn't speak English as a first language, and they got through just fine. But then the other guys weren't. So sometimes it's not consistent. So you always need to be prepared. But even at regional tournaments, you never know. Like Chad and I went down to this, it was an invitational tournament down in Tennessee, and it was just, you know, it was a little invitational tournament. I didn't think it was gonna matter. So I told him, I was like, "Man, let's rock out we just got our gray and black gis." I was like, "Let's rock those things out." So we go down there that day, and we're both ready to go, and then they come up and tell us, "No, you can't wear those gis." I'm like, "Why not?" And they tell us because it's not a real gi color, you know, I think one of them told me I look like a clown. So I couldn't wear that. I was like, "Well, damn it." Chad had an extra gi. I didn't. Luckily, my buddy Kenny down in Nashville, he gave me a gi. He had competed earlier that day, and so he hands me this nice sweaty gi that I have to put on, like a nice cold sweaty gi, put that sucker on, and then I put my sweat into it and gave it back. But again, just in case, you always want to be prepared, whether, you know, for yourself or maybe, you know, another one of your teammates, maybe his gi doesn't pass the checkpoint, and you can give it to him like Jirel did in that situation. So again, you always want to bring two of your rash guards and shorts, two of your gis. The next thing I'll talk about is kind of food. This is where a lot of you guys like get really interested. You're like, "What do you eat? What do you drink?" All that kind of stuff. And I'm also going to preface this video with, this is what I do, okay? Like whenever it comes to like weight training or food, everybody's an expert, right? Like it's not so bad with jiu-jitsu, but I've noticed this from videos, like weight training, food, everybody's an expert. Look, this is what I'm doing. Take it for what you will. It works for me. So first thing I'll do is I always bring some fruit of some sort. So I like bananas and apples, things of that nature. I like that. Those are some of my favorites. And it's just something I can easily eat. They sit well in my belly. I also always bring one meal with me. So I always bring a Tupperware full of like food because again, and this is more than that, that's actually a lot of food for me for through the week. And again, acai bowls are nice. Like you can go to the acai bowl after your matches and get yourself a big bowl. But at some point in the day, if I'm going to be there for a long time, I want some like meat and vegetables. So I always bring one meal for me, and I'll eat it cold. I mean, it's sitting for a couple hours. It's not going to be that big of a deal. The next thing some of you guys might be interested is bars. Like I'll get some different bars. I like some of these Laura bars and RX bars, stuff that I can easily find at a grocery store. There's some stuff that I'll order online from time to time, but if we're talking about easy stuff for you guys to find, I'll get some of these. And the reason I get these is because on the ingredients, we have almonds, dates, semi-sweet chocolate chips, unsweetened chocolate, cocoa butter, apples, cocoa powder, sea salt. On the RX bar, we've got egg whites, dates, almonds, cashews, chocolate, sea salt. Simple stuff. Like sometimes you'll look on the back of some of these bars and they'll have things like expeller pressed non-GMO canola oil. I don't care what you call it, it's poison, right? I don't want the stuff in my body, so I just don't want to mess with that stuff. So I typically try to find stuff where I look on the back of the ingredients, they're simple enough, I'm like, yeah, it's good. I don't typically eat bars very often, but on a day like where a tournament is, I can eat that stuff. It's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm gonna go through it in just a minute. Another thing that I'll bring with me is a shaker bottle, and I typically have the shaker bottle filled with some dextrose powder. It's a dextrose-based supplement. I don't want to give away the name because it's not something I necessarily use all the time. I play around with different supplement brands, but you can look at any brand that has like a dextrose. It's a dextrose base that'll typically have a little bit of protein. Dextrose is the main thing, and then like some amino acids, electrolytes, things like that. And typically it'll be billed as like a post-workout, pre-workout, during workout kind of drink. And the benefit of it is that that dextrose gets into your bloodstream quickly. I remember years ago I started using this kind of stuff as a white belt, and when I would use it, I remember like the coolest part about it is that when I would sip on it after a match, my forearms would kind of like loosen up a little bit quicker. And it's because again, you're getting those sugars and things like that into your bloodstream quicker. And like even after a hard workout sometimes, if I'm really wiped and I need to recover quickly, I will take one of those. And it's like, sometimes I feel like I'm almost high because it's a rush of nutrients into the body. So I'll do that. I also take some protein powder of some sort in little Ziploc baggies. Another thing that might be interesting to you guys is coconut water. I always bring some coconut water with me, whatever brand you like, and salt. I salt the hell out of my food. I salt the hell out of my water. I salt the hell out of everything. And do your research, okay? Because I don't want to tell you something. Go look it up for your own self. But one thing that was neat about this, and I'll keep this story quickly. I should probably do another video at some point. Maybe title it like the day that I thought I had a heart attack. But I get my blood work done every 6 months now. It just has I want to see how the machine's running, especially when I do dietary changes. I want to see like what does that do to me? How does that affect me, right? And with salt, one thing that happened about 3 years ago, I went to the doctor, got some blood work done, and when it was done, like it came back that I was dehydrated. And I was like, how am I dehydrated? I was like, I drink a lot of water. Like I drink water all the time, and I drink a little bit of coffee too. And what they were telling me was that I'm drinking a ton of water, I drink a fair amount of coffee, and I'm basically diluting myself because I'm not getting enough salts back into my diet. And so yeah, I'm drinking a lot of water, drinking a lot of this, but salt, the coffee's gonna flush out some of the salts. And then with my training, I'm training a lot, so I'm sweating all the time, and I'm not getting enough salt back into my diet because I thought like I thought salt was kind of bad in a way, right? Not necessarily the case. And one of the things I've noticed is as I've salted my food more often, I'll go to the doctor, get my blood work done, and things look better. So maybe something to think about, guys. That's it for the food. So I'll move this stuff right out of the way. So the next thing, guys, is the warm-up, and I have a few little things that I like to use for warm-ups. Warm-ups are really important, right? I can't stress this enough. People don't really put much effort into their warm-ups. They don't really think about it. But to me, you're getting ready. You spent the money for the tournament. You spent the money for all this, the traveling fees, everything. And then you don't pay much attention to like getting yourself primed and ready for the match. Bad mistake. So first thing, I always bring a foam roller with me. I don't use it that often before tournaments, but I have it just in case I need to sort of loosen up some of the fibers in my body, or if I drove to the tournament, maybe I need to roll out my back a little bit. I always bring it with me just in case. I'll use, where's it at? It's in here. Got a peanut. This is typically if something goes wrong and I'm like a little tight somewhere after the match. It's 2 lacrosse balls that have been taped together, and it digs in a little bit tighter in certain areas. Ambulance. Haven't done one of them in a while. Ambulance. So I'll have my little peanut with me just in case. Now, before the match, I will use some different bands. So I like these hip circle bands from Mark Bell. I like them. They're high quality, and they're just nice. They They're cloth instead of like what I'm showing with this TheraBand, so I like these a lot. I'll use these on my leg. You know, again, getting ready for a competition, I don't want to risk injury, so I'll go through there and do some different banded exercises, and I'll get my legs warmed up. And super important too, because if I'm gonna shoot in for takedowns and stuff like that, my legs need to be primed and warmed up and ready to go. I'll use some TheraBands like this to do different upper body stuff, just to kind of get everything nice and loose. And to keep myself warm, I always bring a hoodie and some sweatpants and things like that. So if I'm wearing a gi where I already have pants on, I'll just put the hoodie over top of my gi. If I'm in like no gi, then I'll put on sweatpants and a hoodie over top of it. And again, the reason being is I want to be nice and warmed up before I go out there. I want to be sweaty. Like when I want to be able to take my finger and be like super sweaty to the touch before I step out on the mat. And you can think about it in your own training. Like when you step out onto the mat, step out onto your mat for training, right? When do you feel like you're the best? For me, I always feel like I'm the best right around my second or third roll. That's typically where I feel like I'm moving, right? I'm in that prime spot. And for some of you guys that have competed before, where you went out and you basically felt like you farted, like you had a brain fart, like when you went to your first match and you just felt like you were weak or something was off, one of the things that may be a good thing to start with is start doing a better, more substantial warm-up that really gets you pumping, right? Get that heart pumping a little bit before you step out on that match for the tournament. I keep saying match, I mean mat. Another thing, monkey tape. I like the monkey tape because it's convenient. They have these different sizes, but I like the little thin ones for my fingers. So I'll use monkey tape if I need to tape up a finger or two before a competition. I don't always use it, but sometimes I do. And I think that's it, guys. You know, again, I'm not showing you all the extra stuff like headphones and everything else because I think that's kind of self-explanatory, right? You want to listen to music, you know, that kind of stuff. And I know some of you guys don't like to eat food before competitions, but again, that's what I go through. But again, really important stuff. Have something to do a good substantial warm-up with. Even if that's your partner, do something to get the heart rate going. Have a couple sets of gear to compete in, just in case. You never know whether you're going to need it, and you might not, know if one of your competitor friends or whatever is going to need it. We had a situation where one of our blue belts was competing, and luckily someone like in the crowd gave him an extra set of shorts because his shorts didn't pass code, and they stopped him in the middle of the match, which was really strange. And then again, bring some snacks with you. You know, those are the ones that I like. I like having an actual meal ready, and I like having some different snacks to snack on. And that dextrose powder, again, there's so many out there you can just choose, but like just look up dextrose based supplements that are typically for post, pre, and during workout, and those are really helpful for competing. Now, one thing I'll sort of throw in there is anything like this with like supplements or whatever, if you're going to test it out in your gym first. Don't do it like first day at the competition. Like, so if you're going to like test out this dextrose powder stuff, test it out and see how you feel during your training one day to sort of see if you feel good on it or not before you take it out to the competition, because you don't want to like subject your body to something brand new on the day of a competition. It wouldn't be the smartest idea. So guys, if you have any questions about stuff related to competition or what you should bring in your bag or whatever that kind of stuff, just put some comments down below and I'll try to come in and answer them later on. But otherwise, guys, thanks for the questions that you sent in. And Jirel, it was nice meeting you. And again, if I'm saying your name wrong, I'm sorry. And I'll talk to you guys next time.